I don't, I think I retorted this once before, but I think I messed it up. David Kreller. I knew him when I was in high school, and my libido had a little thing for him. But the reality is, in high school, I was more interested in getting good grades. I went to all the dances, single. I did ask David Kreller to senior prom, but then I also got asked out, or I also asked my best friend, boyfriend, who actually said yes at one point, but then he canceled. And then I asked David Kreller, I think, in that order. Yeah, David wasn't my first choice, really. I just wanted to be, I actually was fine. I went by myself. David and a friend of his, Chris, sandwiched me in on the dance floor very rudely. When I think about it, they basically sexually harassed me on the dance floor when I was in high school. I look back on that, and it basically tells me a lot. David actually once had me over to his house when I was in high school and made dinner for me for giving him rides from track, and made me feel a little uncomfortable and very shy and quirky. He and his friend Chris was there too. Chris would tease me and bully me. In the end, I didn't like either one of them, really. I was flattered by David's attention because he was the star of the basketball team, the star of the track team. But in the end, I mean, I was more like my libido just wanted something to be interested in. But when I came to be fantasizing, I had fantasies about this actor who played Jack on Days of Our Lives. Yeah. Which was a weird character for me to have fantasies about. But and that was in the rare stages of my life when I actually had fantasies. My parents, when I moved out here, sent me a letter, sent me a notification from my high school telling me that David Kreller was still teaching in Maryland. And I think they did it thinking that I would not want to leave because they were still stuck in this imaginary world where I was the girl I was in high school who was pathetic, got good grades, and didn't have any sense of confidence or self-esteem. And the reality is, no one in high school really knew me. They knew I was the girl that got good grades and was a Maryland Distinguished Scholar because I had a high IQ. But they didn't really know me. They didn't know that I told my parents I never wanted to have kids or get married. They didn't know that I desperately wanted to get away from my parents and get out of the trap. People in my high school, their parents went to high school, their grandparents went to the same high school. I wanted to not have anything to do with that. I wanted to leave. And so my objective all along was to be an actor and to work in the entertainment industry. I was fascinated by the First Amendment. I was fascinated by the concept of the fact that I had the right to have a voice. My parents tried to silence that. Anyways, in college, I got into Dickinson College early decision. They had a writing program, and I wanted to be a writer and author. I wanted to also be Laura Holt in Remington Steele on some level, but I knew at the same time I wasn't like Miss Violent. I didn't hated guns. I wasn't very physically weak. But intellectually, my brain wanted me to be that kind of person, very intelligent, very strong, very together. In college, my freshman year, I'm not exactly sure what happened to David after my freshman year of college. He kind of disappeared. I think he transferred out, but then I think he came back. But then I didn't really care. Like, I never saw him. I don't know if he graduated from Western Maryland and he went to a different school. I think he may have gone to Towson State. Freshman year, he kept borrowing my English notes, skipping English class. And it finally got to the point where I got really frustrated with him and said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of doing your work for you. You either come to class or forget about it. And that was the end of our friendship. I got the sense he was going through a lot at home. His parents, I think, had been divorced. But still, at the same time, I was like really angry because I wasn't there to do anybody else's work. I was there to do my own. So the misconception that I was stalking somebody is just that. Later on, I got involved with a guy named Brian my freshman year who tried to kiss me, tried to get me to climb in bed with him. I ended up sleeping in his roommate's bed, and he gave me this spiel about different things about me and how he basically tried to play me, gave me some lines, and then later I met another girl who he played the same lines with and tried to get in the same position. And I was like, okay, player. And I kind of never spoke to Brian again, and I think he may have also disappeared. Like, I think he left Western Maryland after the freshman year because I never saw him again. But I don't know. Maybe he did graduate. I didn't pay attention to that. I kind of got involved in theater. My freshman year, I volunteered for a play, and then my sophomore year, I started taking acting classes, and I fell into my own kind of group of friends and people. And theater became my life in a way. But I also worked for the film department. I ran their theater film program. And I was really interested in being an actor, but I was kind of insecure and shy, didn't know how to make myself look pretty, and didn't even know how to walk in heels. My parents never were big on doing the normal things that girls are supposed to do. I didn't own heels. I didn't do makeup. They were very almost like footloose, puritanical. Got mad at me if I danced and stuff like that, and I was very much a dancer in high school. If I went to a dance, I did take lessons in ballet and tap and 2 years of gymnastics, but I was always physically weak, probably because I have a yeast allergy. I've had it my entire life. I can't help that. At the same time, I'm tired of the fact that we live in a world where we have a caste system. It's like, you're not an actor, Laura, because you're not cultured enough or physically capable enough. But if you talk to me, and if you watch this video, you'll find I'm actually a really intelligent woman. So to be told that I'm not cultured enough by someone is really kind of pathetic. Because I had 3 degrees by the time I was 30. I was reading Dickens when I was in 10th grade. I read Romeo and Juliet, I think, by the first time, or tried to when I was 10. My grandfather was a politician in Virginia, and he gave me his books to read. He gave me Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He gave me Tom Swift. He gave me Nancy Drew books. He gave me Shakespeare books to read. He was kind of an old school Republican in that sense. Not a Republican. I became a Democrat, and my grandfather was actually pretty cool with that. My parents were not. Yeah, so for me, it was like, what the hell? You guys still think I want David Kreller when I'm leaving for California in 2002? I'm not a stalker. If I was a stalker, I'd stay back in Maryland and go after David Kreller. Seriously. Or Steve Misser, who tried to have sex with me. I left Western Maryland College after graduation and moved straight to D.C. I didn't move to D.C. because Steve Misser grew up there. I moved to D.C. because I got into Carnegie Mellon, wanted to be in their art program, but they wanted me to do School of Public Affairs. I tried to get into Yale for their theater management program and was rejected after an interview, and that left me with American. And there aren't that many art management programs in the country, and at the time I was trying to figure out something that would allow me to be around artists, to get me a supportive job so that I could become an actor. And I think people don't realize that my objective all along was for me to be the artist. It was to be the creative force, to be a creative person, and have a voice. And it isn't very cool that people have decided that my whole objective was my vagina. My whole objective was because of men, when it never was. And yet I can't get a lawyer to help me because you all think that you've all decided, well, you're not worth anything as an actor anyways, Laura. You're not. No one's ever going to hire you. Because you're not good enough, you're not likable. I was likable. I'm a nice person. And it's too bad that nice people are apparently not likable. It's too bad that nice people, good people, can be shafted, treated like crap. I've come to the conclusion I don't have the right people in my life right now. But the right people are not my parents, and the right people are not people on the East Coast. I needed to find the right people here who would be supportive of me as an actor and an artist and let me be an artist and an actor. I'm not going to be an assistant. I'm not going to run a theater. I'm not going to be an administrator. I'm not going to do administrative work anymore. I'm not creative like that. And it gets frustrating to me. I'm not a detail person. I'm worth $25 to $50 an hour in the right job. But I'm not going to shoot people's weddings because that's not what I like to do. I don't like being at weddings. I don't like dealing with people in the real world at all. Because I originally wanted to be an artist and an actor and a writer. I originally wanted to be a poet, which is why I got into Dickinson. If I hadn't gotten the scholarship to Western Maryland College, I would probably be dead right now. Because I would have been stuck with my parents and I would have committed suicide. So maybe though I should have not gotten that scholarship. And maybe the people back on the East Coast who have decided they don't want to hear from me anymore because they don't want to admit that they did anything wrong and that they were wrong from the beginning. I look back on my life and I could have achieved so much more if I'd been allowed to do what I wanted to do and achieve what I wanted to achieve and making me the decision myself instead of dealing with people trying to tell me what I'm supposed to do for them. But then we live in a world right now where people make the presumption that their needs are more important than anybody else's, and that they can walk over someone like me, and if I'm not providing for them, I'm useless. My father calls me that, his useless daughter, because the only reason my parents brought kids into the world is to take care of them, not to take care of me. And that's something that I think everyone is dealing with right now. A greedy, self-centered generation that expects everyone to fall to their knees in front of them. My father says, who do I think I am? Who I think I am is a woman with intelligence. An intelligence that has been wasted by people trying to make me negotiate contracts just because I have a law degree when I've never practiced and I'm not capable of doing that. I reviewed some contracts when I was in law school, but I never negotiated anything. I have never actually represented anybody in court. I am an observer. I'm more of the journalist. I work for Court TV. In other words, I'm an after person. I'm the type of person who would uncover truths or dig into a person's psyche. I took psychology at one point. And I think it's funny because the psychologists out here have all decided to wipe me off. Laura needs structure. She needs structure in order to survive. No, I needed to have the free time and the free space to be able to create. I have scripts that are never going to be finished. I have story ideas that are going to be done because I got attacked 105 times by someone who wants me to go get a job. And in the end, you cost me having a job when I have a business license that I actually worked hard for and invested in. I invested in acting classes. I invested in websites. But then guess what? My website belongs in Africa to save the Africans, or in Iran to save the Iranians, or in Nepal to save the Nepalese. I probably said that wrong. It can't be mine to do with what I want. I'm not a communist. It is mine, and I'm going to do with what I want with it. And you guys don't want me doing anything because you've decided that I'm property. You can take away my identity, take away what I've created, destroy it and make it your own, and make me feel like I'm worth nothing, and that I shouldn't exist anymore. I look in, I actually see a woman who could be incredibly beautiful now, because I've been working on trying to get my health back. I see a woman who at one point looked 15 years younger than she actually was. So when I was in my 20s, when I first came to California, I got hit on by an 18-year-old who told me he was 20 and knew I was a lawyer because I looked close to his age. I told him how old I was. I played high school when I was in my 30s. And you guys decided to kill my acting career and take away my health and my self-esteem. Towson High School, you destroyed one of your best students and one of your best people because of your immaturity. By trying to make me date someone maybe with a stutter, or someone who you thought I needed to date because they needed to have their self-esteem boosted. Because that's what I'm here for. And you didn't think about how I felt. And you didn't think about how I cared about. You didn't think about how I felt or what I wanted to do with my life or anything about me at all. We are such a self-centered species. I wish to God someone had cared, if there is a God. But then you made sure I didn't believe anymore. You took away what made me love life, and you took away what I wanted to do with my life, and you destroyed my dreams, and I have nothing. I don't have anything to live for. I don't want to go back to Baltimore. I don't want to go back to the cold and being a nobody and a nothing. I earn SAG-AFTRA, but then I'm not good enough to be SAG-AFTRA. Am I? Because you have to be a stupid bitch with big breasts to be SAG-AFTRA. You have to be someone who's willing to put out. You have to be a slutty, sexy woman that everybody wants to screw. Cultured my ass, ASAP Cohen. I was reading Dickinson by the time I was 10, Yeats. I love culture. I love history. I took AP American History. Oh wait, but it was American history. I'm not cultured enough because I'm an American. And you're an Israeli. And so is Blake. Thank you for the hypocrisy. You don't belong in the Democratic Party, ASAP Cohen. You belong with Blake, with the people trying to divide this country, and make sure that we don't have a solid president who actually gives a crap.